Okay, so we are at Chapter 10 in A Course of Love, Use and Understanding. So this chapter is an extension of the whole body identification thing that we started in the last chapter. So the voice of the separated self will interfere as long as you give it merit. So the separated self is, of course, how we've been identifying up until this point. Now that we're reaching the recognition that we are not the separated self, we're something a lot bigger than that. So these are the thoughts, then, of the separated self. I'm at the mercy of my body. As a body, I'm vulnerable. I must protect myself. This is a serious situation. My survival depends on my effort. Ringing any bells here?
Yeah.
I'm on my own out here. I was born alone, and I'll die alone. So these are the thoughts of the separated self. No wonder we suffer when we believe these to be true. And that it's our job to try to control this very serious situation. And if we don't control it, we won't survive. It doesn't get much more serious than that. So what happens then is that these beliefs create defense mechanisms. One of the things it uses is preemptive attacks, otherwise known as judgment. If I judge you as not being as efficient as I, or as ethical as I, or as being a danger, then that's a preemptive attack. You haven't attacked me yet, but I've judged you, so I've protected myself. Then we can hide from my vulnerability. And we do this by using substances, activities, entertainment, busyness, noise. I mean, we do this on a daily basis. To try to hide from the fact that I'm vulnerable. We go into our little houses at night and, finally that's over. And now what can I do to feel better? And we reach for one of those substances or activities in order to feel better, to hide from the fact that, oh man, I'm so vulnerable and anybody can hurt me at any time, but not right now, right this minute. I'm gonna escape into this. And then we have different defensive ploys that we use. We can play victim. That works really well. We can be self-righteous. I know this and you don't, and people shouldn't do that, and that was wrong of her, and all that. We can join groups, which is, cults, churches, Boy Scouts, families. We can join all kinds of groups. This group, any group, really, helps us to feel like we have a safety net because we have other separated beings that are supporting us. And we can cling to any special relationships that we have. So as long as there's somebody else by my side, I'm going to be okay. And some friends and I were talking recently about the whole enmeshment issue with family and how there's safety in enmeshment. Because if we all depend on one another, then we will be together, for one thing, and we'll get the benefits of safety. But the price that you pay for that is the price of being yourself. And so it's just one of the things we do. And it doesn't mean that our family members are bad or not valuable, but it just is bringing awareness to the fact that we might have an ulterior motive in staying close to the groups that we stay close to. Okay. So the next question then is, who is the you the body would control? So we're still staying with the body. So the body's trying to control somebody. Who is that the body's trying to control? Don't need to answer the question. Just sit with it.
Well, it's crazy, really.
Right.
Because it can.
Right. So the body seems to tell you what you feel and tell you how to act. But how can this be true when the body's actually neutral? We think that the body says, oh, I'm tired, I've got to go to bed. Oh, I have to do this because I'm in pain. Oh, I'm just feeling out of sorts. We think the body's telling us that. The question is, how can the body be telling us anything? The body's neutral. So then it goes on to what it is. It's a tool, which is illusion, for the experience of separation. It is not yourself. The body is just a tool to help you have that separation experience. So we just need to see it for what it is. It's a tool we created for us to use to feel separate. And in verse 5, the abandonment of the body as your home and source of all you are is the greatest hurdle to overcome. The recognition then that the body is a tool that you created and the body exists within you. You don't exist within the body. The body is allowed to play within you because you are awareness. You are the screen. You're the space. So the body is contained within you, not the other way around. I know. Just
Be you.
yeah,
I believe it.
yeah.
Believe
Just
it.
let it marinate. You think you've put your power there in the body, but it can't have the power of creation without your joining it. In actuality, it has no power. Now notice that it said without your joining it. So that when we come to the point where we are functioning as the Christ, and we're joining the body, instead of using it as a tool to trick ourselves into thinking we're separate, then it's going to be able to have some power. Only because we've joined it, because we've given it power. But as it is now within the illusion, it doesn't have any power at all. You're projecting all your stuff onto it. Just be aware, the body's neutral. And in verse 4, your real source is the center of yourself, the altar to your Creator, the self you share in unity with Christ. Christ is the part of God that resides in you, not in separation, but in the eternal wholeness in which God and you together exist in truth. So that's your real source. So what we're trying to do is just point out the fact that as we've identified as the personal self and looked at the body as our source, we can see if we look that there's no truth in that. Our source is something much, much bigger. Our source is actually eternal and not separated from us. So the next question, how do I understand the truth about the body? Because hearing it, the belief is one thing, understanding it is another, right? So he gives us really some practical things, and I love this about this work, that we get practical exercises, which he says are always optional, but, why not? So I put this in a do this, not this, just for fun. Okay, so to understand the truth, let's make this linear. To understand the truth about the body, do this. State your willingness repeatedly. So you might remember from A Course in Miracles, I'm willing to see this differently. Above all, I want to see. I mean, it's the same kind of an energy the recognition that, okay, I'm not really, I'm perceiving something, but I'm not seeing something, and I'm willing to see it clearly. Please help. Over and over and over. When you find yourself caught in the body, when you find yourself experiencing this world as real, when you find yourself identifying as the personal self, I'm willing to see, I'm willing to see. The second tip is be aware of your desire for reward for doing well and surrender that. So it's like, I've really been working at this for a long time, and I really should be getting some kind of recognition for the work that I'm doing. And I want to be better than they are at that, because I put more time in, and I should be getting my rewards now. And he just says, surrender that desire for reward, because that's an ego thing, reward and punishment. So just drop it. And verse 23 is that whole exercise of, and this isn't the only one, he gives others, but I put this one down. Place your body out in front of yourself where you can be the silent observer. So do that exercise that he describes in more detail in the book of just, being the energy behind the body and then the energy above the body, and, just really, because what it's doing is creating just a little distance between yourself and the body, and creates more clarity, because you recognize that you still exist, same old me, behind the body. And the fourth tip, notice that it's your thoughts about your body you're hearing more than your actual body. Use vigilance and willingness to dislodge these thoughts. So if you get up in the morning and you say, oh, I need more sleep, is that the body saying I need more sleep, or is that a thought, I need more sleep? Just notice that. And when you see that it's a thought, then you have the option to drop it. Why am I going to make that real? Is that my choice? And so just notice that really the body itself is neutral, but the thoughts that accompany it are not. So we think we're the body, and then we start listening and watching, and we realize that it's actually the thoughts. Ooh, that doesn't feel good. Ooh, that feels good. Oh, I want this. Oh, I want that. That's not the body. That's a thought. So we recognize that. So all of these techniques actually just create a little crack in the armor. And it says, don't do this. Don't pretend the body doesn't exist. It does, it's just not who you are. So, I've done this myself. I'm not a body, so I'm just not going to pay attention to it. It's not me.
I've done that.
Right? And the thing is, the body's right here. So
And I fell down the stairs.
yeah, right. And or you
This
get
is all an illusion. I'm not the body.
Yeah.
And then I fell down the stairs.
right, and you aren't the body, but the body does exist. Yeah. Don't try to perform magic on the body by exchanging positive thoughts for negative, or the other way around, actually. Yeah, exchanging, so that, like, if I have that thought, oh, I'm really tired, I didn't get enough sleep, and then you catch yourself, oh no, I'm energized, I don't need more than 2 hours sleep. The whole affirmation positive thing. I mean, it works a teeny bit, but it's denial. And so he says, don't do that. That's not the way this is done. And don't try to fool yourself. Ignore pain or body sensations. Oh, I don't really have a headache. I'm not going to give credence to that. So don't ignore, don't pretend, and don't refuse to play these silly games. Don't refuse to do the exercises, basically, is what I'm saying. Close the door on experience and cling to theory. And a lot of people want to do this.
Yeah.
Well, I'd rather just hang on to my belief system. You don't actually expect me to have this experience, do you? I'd rather dwell in the land of ideas and belief systems. Insist on being right even if you remain unhappy.
Getting over that one.
Good. So, and those are the things that will keep you from actually understanding the truth about the body. And we think some of these are even contrary to what we have thought of as spiritual teachings in the past. But it's still working within the dream. It's still trying to use thoughts to manipulate the dream. And so what we're actually trying to do is be present and bring awareness to what's actually happening in every moment and what's the source of that. Is the body the source of that? Oh no, my thought is the source of that. And what do we do with thoughts? Do we fix thoughts? No, we drop them. So that's why it's different.
Is there a paradox here somewhere? Because I'm getting mixed signals between the do this and don't do this. I wake up in the morning, I'm tired. So I have the thought, oh, my body's tired. But at the same time, don't say you're not tired when you are tired and try to flip it.
Right. You just recognize, oh, that was a thought.
And
I
then-
just thought I'm tired.
Okay.
And drop it and move on.
Drop it and move on.
Yeah.
Don't make the story.
No.
Don't keep going with that.
No.
Okay.
No. You just recognize the thought. Oh, that was a thought I had. Uh-huh. Okay. And now this moment. So it's all about bringing awareness. It's not about fixing.
Okay.
That's the difference in the approach. Because the awareness is the goal. The fixing is not the goal. So, in fact, he tells us, belief is not your problem. Understanding is. We have a lot of faith in this world and the way it works because we believed it hook, line, and sinker, and we did it because we wanted to, because that's how we set it up. It's not a problem. It's just that now if we want to understand what's real, we need to shift our focus, shift the awareness. In verse 22, he says, the separated self is so ensconced in fear that the known fears of its existence seem preferable to the unknown fears of any other kind of existence. So even in abandoning the belief system that we've put faith in, fear comes up. You know, like, what's going to happen to me and my relationships in my life if I do this, if I make this shift? So bringing awareness to that. Again, we're just bringing awareness. In verse 27, you will find that as you observe your body, you are more aware of your surroundings and more aware that your body is part of everything that is happening. And this is referring to that practice of being behind, watching the body, watching the hands, watching, oh, here is a body with 3 other bodies at a table. So you'll notice that you're more a part of what's actually happening than you were before, when you were completely identified as just the body. Then you were the center of your universe and there was no crack. And when you're behind, you can see the bigger picture. You get a bigger perspective. Verse 28, experiment without allowing room for discouragement. You are merely playing. You gotta love that. And in verse 32, a door has been reached, a threshold crossed. What your mind would deny, your heart cannot. A tiny glimmering of memory has returned to you and will not leave you to the chaos you seem to prefer. And verse 33, a little peace has been made room for in the house of your insanity. We know this to be true.